Okay, so I'm making this video today as a bit of an open letter to ex-Nostradamus, or Truth of YouTube, however you may put it, because I've just watched his recent videos from the last couple of months and seen that he's sort of really wanting to get back onto nofap, and also wanting to go to college and study, which is something I really applaud, and I'm really glad he's made that decision. But just in terms of as to who I am and why I'm making this video, I'm a guy who's been struggling with the nofap for it would be almost 2 years now. It was February 2016 when I found out about it. And to give kind of some information on just how I come across it, I'm a guy who's had a PMO addiction since he was about 14, like most of us, and I've had all those problems that come along with that. Social anxiety, depression, low energy, fatigue, low self-esteem, low motivation, no self-belief. You guys know the drill. Became very isolated from the ages of sort of 17 all the way up until my mid-20s. I basically just used to go to work and play video games. Video games were pretty much my whole life. Sorry, just had to pause for a second there because I'm recording in a public place. I'm actually at the university, which I'll get into in a minute. Video games were my whole life, and basically life just did not go well for me at all, and I really didn't know why. I was stuck in a retail job that I hated, and I just couldn't seem to find a way out of it. And basically what happened was I actually met a girl who, she had a lot of issues, but I became very close with her, very close friends, and we kind of almost got into a relationship, but then didn't, and I got really messed up over it, really heartbroken, and I started looking into some self-improvement stuff, and I learned a lot, but none of it really stuck with me, and I found that I was learning sort of like things that I should be doing, but just on an internal level, nothing was working for me. And what eventually happened was I had a couple of instances where I got close with girls, and this was a rarity for me. I mean, we're talking, if it was once a year that I'd actually like make out with a chick and maybe go a bit further than that, that was doing well for me at that period. And it happened a couple of times in a row that I was having some issues downstairs, and I was like, I'm too young to be having this, what's going on? Through Google I found out about PIED, and found out that nofap was the way to cure it, and that was, as I say, in February of 2015 it would have been, because it was not, no, it was last February, sorry, the timelines get a bit mixed up. Last February I found that out, and immediately I did a 45-day nofap streak, and then I relapsed because I hadn't educated myself properly, and I thought that, well, it had been 45 days and I was feeling really good and everything was working again, so I thought, I'm kind of done, I'm cured, and I just went back to it. Obviously found out that wasn't true, and I got back on streak very quickly. This time I was intending to give up for good, and I went 77 days. And during these times I was watching a lot of guys on YouTube's videos, like Truth of YouTube, for one, Ajax Unchained. There was a guy called Algernon Perry, or Red Lion nofap back then, who sadly has gone off of the community now. Anthony Decide. There was a whole bunch of guys that I was watching, and all of them helped. And the guy that I kind of related the most to was Truth of YouTube. You know, he kept it real, and watching his journey and going alongside him was great. And in that period of about 6 months, where I only relapsed once in that time, I really did change. I got so many benefits from nofap. It was crazy. My energy levels increased dramatically. I started to work out every day, lifting weights at the gym, taking more pride in my appearance. I've got a heaps more confidence. My focus improved. My social anxiety almost completely vanished. And everything was just going great, you know. In really a short amount of time, like the case of just a couple of months, how, you know, you can do something that will just change your life and really send you into a different direction, a positive direction, was just a shock to me. But sadly, I relapsed, and I can still remember the day that I relapsed. I can still remember everything about what happened leading up to that relapse, which was after the 77 days. And I did it, and I remember immediately afterwards, I was like, that was not worth it. That was not worth it at all. And since that day, I have been struggling to get back on. And that was, it would have been July or August last year. So it's been well over a year. And I lost everything. I lost all of the so-called superpowers. And I just went back to that terrible baseline that I was at before. And when I say I lost everything, I lost the home that I was living in. I lost my pets, who I had a cat and I had 3 cats. I ended up with them by accident because I took care of them when they were strays, and yeah, you know, I kind of raised them, the 2 kittens, from when they were born. They were born on my bed, and yeah, I lost them. I lost friends. I lost another girl who I was extremely close to, and we were basically just about to get into a relationship with each other, and my behaviour after I started relapsing just completely turned her off and drove her away. And she was a girl who really could have done with having me in her life. She was young, and she had a very similar upbringing to me, and she was kind of alone in the world. And she's actually turned to escorting, which I don't know if that's some sort of sick karma or something like that, but a girl that I actually really loved and really cared for and really wanted to build a life with. You know, I started to treat her like crap after I started relapsing, just because my whole personality changed and I became depressed again and negative, and I started pushing her away. I started to get scared that I was going to lose her, and so I kind of self-sabotaged the whole thing and made it happen. And you know, she kind of, her attitude was, I've just been hurt again by someone that I trusted, and now, as I say, she's escorting, and she's someone who's in a lot of pain, and I was powerless to do anything to help her because I can't even help myself right now. I lost my job that I had had for years, and even though I hated it, I was at least comfortable there. And then where it gets really sad, and the reason I'm at the university right now, is that I decided when I was on that streak last year that I was going to go back to university, and so I started the ball rolling on enrollment and things like that. And even though I'd been relapsing and stuff, I kind of stuck to that plan, and I showed up here in February for the start of the first semester. And I remember walking onto the campus and thinking, you know, this is the opportunity for me to change my life and to turn it all around. And my first day here, just being around all these people who are, you know, trying to improve their lives, was just, it felt so good, and I was so happy. And unfortunately, you know, I'd been saying to myself for, you know, as I say, I've been relapsing for a whole year, and I kept saying to myself, look, I want at least 90 days under my belt before I turn up at uni. That didn't happen, you know, and it was, well, originally it was going to be 90 days going into 2017. Obviously that didn't happen. Then 90 days before uni started at the end of February, that didn't happen. And then I was still relapsing while I was studying, and obviously I wasn't focusing, I wasn't putting the effort into my studies that I needed to, even though I knew I needed to take it seriously, and this was potentially one of my last chances to get it right. I wasn't doing it, and things just got so bad and came to a head that I got through the first semester here, and I actually passed. I did well, and then I started to have massive issues in the mid-semester break, because the girl that I was talking about, the one that's now an escort, she came back into my life, and I was still relapsing, still in a bad place, but there was a slight chance of kind of, and this was before she'd started to escort, there was a slight chance of like reconciliation and things like that, and I blew that, and then other things started to go wrong too. I'd just been making terrible financial decisions and not saving money where I needed to be. And long story short, I ended up flunking out. Well, I don't know if I flunked, I just quit. I didn't go back for semester 2, which is, semester 2 is just about to finish. It's been about 4 months, so I didn't go back, and I have ended up, out of financial pressure, going back into the old industry that I used to work in a job that is actually worse than the one that I was doing before. It's more hours, it's actually a ton more hours for less money. I work with people that are just not the kind of people that I'd choose to be friends with, and I hate it. And as I say, I've lost everything, and this coming from a position where just, you know, less than 18 months ago, I really had a bright future and I had it all to look forward to, and it's all gone wrong, and I've lost so much, and it got to a point where I called my mum crying my eyes out, because I just felt so low, and I was as close to suicidal as I've ever been in my life, because I just didn't know what to do. And now, thankfully, I am seeing a therapist, because I feel like there are two types of PMO addict. Number one is the guys who just don't know that PMO is damaging, and they don't know what it's doing to them, and so, you know, they just escalate over the years. And those kind of guys that don't have any underlying issues, generally when they find out, those are the type of guys that quit on the second or third attempt and don't go back, because they just know it's bad for you, and they don't have an addictive personality per se, so they quit. Then there's the second type of guys, who's guys like me and Truth for YouTube, and I think we need a little more help, because I think there's some underlying pain inside that's leading us to continue to go back. And that's why I made the decision finally to go and get some professional help, and we're working through that. And hopefully that's going to stand me in good stead. So I just wanted to send this message to Truth of YouTube, in that I really want to see you do well, bro. Like, because, you know, even though I've relapsed and I've thrown everything away, doing those streaks alongside you and watching your daily videos on YouTube, you know, you helped me a lot. You gave me a lot of awareness, and so I'm trying to just give you some encouragement. I'm a few years older than you. I'm not too much older than you, but I'm a few years older, and I wish I could be your age and having the possibility of going and studying and doing something with myself and enjoying, you know, your early and mid 20s, because that chance has gone for me. I wasted my early and mid 20s, and I'm trying to turn things around now. But you've done 90 days before. I've never even hit 90 days, but I know how I felt after almost 80 days. And you know that nofap's the right thing to do. And if you need to reach out, you want some support, you can always contact me, or I'd really recommend looking up a good counselor or a good therapist or something like that, someone that you can go to, because you're at a crossroads period in life, and it can go one of two ways. And I really hope that it goes well for you, man. Like, I want you to get back on the path, and you know, we've both seen how living the right way and being on nofap and things like that, you know, it can change your life in only a couple of months. So, you know, imagine a whole year, imagine the difference. And that's kind of where I'm looking, because obviously my plan, I don't want to stay stuck. I want to get back on the path. I want to hit 90 days. That's the first goal. I'm on day 6 right now. And then I want to push on. And within a year, I want to be back here studying, doing it right, and building that life that I want. And I know now, I've learnt my lesson in the last 18 months, that PMO will, you know, doing PMO, you will never achieve your goals. You will never get the life that you want. It just doesn't work that way. It has to go. So Truth of YouTube, get back on the path with me, man, and let's do this. Do it together. That's all I've got to say. I just wanted to give a shout out because you've helped a ton of people, and, you know, maybe it's time that we start looking out for you as well. Thanks and peace out.